Florida. I can't believe we haven't talked very much about Florida tonight.
I know. Well, let me show you what we got in Florida right now. We are. And I'm going to just show you what we got. A lot of vote in, okay? We got over 7 million vote. And Florida's one of those that does its early vote. In fact, let's show off our toys here, as I said we were going to do, right? As you can see, the orange is early and absentee. You see the same day vote. People that voted today is here in yellow. And then we have a bunch of gray vote here. We expect nearly 12 million voters. So we shall see. So we think there's another, 3.5 to 4 million, maybe 4.5 million more votes to go. So anyway, just something to look there. So how are we watching Florida tonight? You don't win Florida the same way twice. All right, that is something that I think I want to remind people. But let me just start here with what we're, all night tonight, I'll do these, what I call Trump Dem counties. And what these were is these were counties that Trump carried in 16, but the major Democratic statewide candidate in 18 carried. Well, in the state of Florida, that was Duval, that was Seminole, and that was Pinellas. These are three important counties. I can tell you this, the Biden folks think if they can win Pinellas and Duval and Seminole, it can make up for some ground there. So why don't we take a look and see what our numbers are. Here's Pinellas. This is the home of St. Petersburg. 89%, so we think there's not much vote, but Biden a very narrow lead. All that tells me is it's going to take forever to call Florida. But let me look at a couple of others. We want to talk about Seminole. Seminole's north of Orlando, happens to be where my mother lives. And right now, he's winning Seminole. That is a very good sign. But this is potentially the trouble spot for Joe Biden. And it's Miami-Dade. As you can see, we already have 84% in. This is a terrible margin for him, 54%. Not good.
Explain that. It's the Latino vote in South Florida.
And it's a different type of Latino vote. It's the Cuban-American vote. It's the Venezuelan-American vote. But, I mean, you can see here, look, what Hillary Clinton did in Miami-Dade 4 years ago is why, I don't know, if you recall 4 years ago, I'm going, oh, my goodness, look at these numbers she's hitting here. She's going to win Florida. And then, of course, Donald Trump overwhelmed with turnout in some of the more rural counties. But if Joe Biden, he's not getting close to this. This is 10, but this could be the reason he doesn't win Florida. There is not to say Biden can't do this if he overperforms in some of these northern counties, which we're seeing him do. But this is a potential trouble spot right now that we're following when it comes to these Miami-Dade numbers.
Kristen Welker has spent a fair amount of time in Florida recently. Kristen, Joe Biden making an appeal and appeared to be doing well among older voters.
Well, that's right. Older voters, independent voters. Lester, and I just heard from a campaign official who said, look, they feel good about the turnout in Broward County. But to Chuck's point about Miami-Dade, I have been talking to Democrats about that area for the past week or so. They have been concerned about the turnout in Miami-Dade. And that's why you saw former President Obama campaigning there over the weekend, urging voters not to be complacent, to get out and vote. So you really feel on the ground there that this is the battleground of battleground states. What we also saw in Florida, Lester, was really a tale of two campaigns. You had President Trump and Joe Biden on Thursday holding these competing rallies in Tampa, which is a swing district, and you had President Trump with this massive crowd, very little social distancing, very few masks. On the other hand, Joe Biden in the same area with a drive-in, socially distant rally.
Kristen, thanks very much.
Let's turn to Casey Hunt. She's got some reporting on Duval County, which is, I guess, the northeastern part of the state. What are you hearing?
Some Democrats have noticed that the early results seem to be stronger for Biden than maybe anticipated. But I'm also told by others who've been tracking this data very closely that they're not sure that Biden's going to pull it out. So we just want to be, I think, I would urge a little bit of caution in terms of looking at the returns there. The other thing I would highlight, though, Savannah, is Broward County. For all of the trouble that former Vice President Joe Biden is potentially having in Miami-Dade County, Democrats are really paying attention to Broward, which is just one county to the north, where we could see those suburban women who have been so frustrated with President Trump really play a pretty significant role. There's also, of course, questions, as you were talking about with Kristen, about seniors in that spot. So if the turnout there is very, very strong, if Democrats really show up in the numbers that some are hopeful we could see, Broward County is one place where they're hoping they can counterbalance what's going on in Miami-Dade just to the south.
Right. Andrew, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, just to weigh in on Miami-Dade. The real problem, I think, early on is labeling Joe Biden as a socialist. And the fact that the Biden campaign was very slow to respond to that. Trump campaign has been canvassing in Florida for 3 years. The Biden campaign only came in recently. That's why they sent Barack Obama in twice in just the last couple of weeks, the last week. And In fact, it may not be enough to overcome that advantage.
And the socialism label, you're saying, kind of stuck to Joe Biden harder there with that particular community of voters?
And he's going to have to overcome that for the rest of Florida, by the rest of Florida.
Chuck, is this a good
seniors
point?
There as well.
Is this a good point to take a look at where the vote we're looking at is coming from?
For instance, in Florida, we're seeing everything is going to get thrown in. And I've got Duval up now, which is Jacksonville. This is a little bit of a gap. 4 points is a bit. There's not. What's amazing here, I'm just struck by the turnout. Look, turnout was almost identical, if you will, from 12 to 16. The Romney number, the Trump number out of Duval is coming here. But, I mean, look at now. We're sitting already. Trump has more vote than any Republican's ever gotten in Duval, and he may lose it. And Biden's got a whopping 250,000. But one of the things that I've noticed that could help out Joe Biden if he's struggling in Miami-Dade is that, just very carefully, you can see he's improving on Clinton's margins by 1 or 2 points in important counties. He's just slightly improving on her by 2 points almost across the board. That's a 3.5-point gain there in Charlotte County. This is here, Lee County. This is Fort Myers. As you can see, he's improved by 3.5 points. This is how Joe Biden can overcome that poor turnout, if you will, for him in Miami-Dade. If he's shaving 2 or 3 points in every other county, then suddenly you're in a situation where that's how you, again, it's my point.
All right, let's go to Chuck. You're still looking at Florida. Volusia County, that's a big one.
Well, I did the West Coast, so I thought I'd do some of the Atlantic Coast here. Volusia is Daytona. And again, another evidence, Joe Biden, 2 points better than Clinton again. And you just keep going down on these Gold Coast counties. And again, I emphasize this Biden number is improving. What it tells me when the Trump number doesn't move, it's the third-party vote. And as you see here, sorry, no, the 3. I saw you squint.
No, I'm squinting at the Trump in 2016, though. It says 181,000 votes, but he's got 195. So his number got better, too.
His number got better. But again, Biden's number is getting better faster. All right, let me go over to Florida, and let's see if we've got some of these new county numbers in here. But as you can see here, these margins are always pretty close. But I'll tell you, and so we've got, this is good news for Biden that he's now pulled in the lead, because if we go back to my county maps here, again, we know the vote that's coming in. This is heavy Trump country here. I'm going to go back to what I said before. We're sitting here. Biden's biggest problem is Miami right now. Let's go back. Let's see what the vote stands right now. He's dropped below 54%, 86% in. We're looking at 53.9 to 45.5. That's the bad news here for Joe Biden. He's performing 10 points less. The question is whether all of this little improvements for Joe Biden, whether it's a point here or 2 points there or 3 points there in these various counties, can that make up for 10 points in Miami? We have 1.5 million votes remaining, but I'll be honest, as Kerry was talking, Trump's lead went from 0.6%, and I've just been watching it go. As you can see here, it's now jumped to more than a percentage point. And again, this is because all of this red is coming in. And I'll tell you, the more I look at this, things are getting better for Donald Trump. And the big one, we're gonna look at this, and we'll see what the margin is right now. Yeah. Right? You look at 117,000. I could probably find the vote right here in Miami-Dade. If you just look 2 years ago, she won Miami-Dade by almost 300,000 votes. Right? Right now, Biden's only winning Miami-Dade by 28 and 60, 88,000 votes.
The other surprising thing is that, contrary to what the Biden people had expected, we're seeing in the exit polls that nationally, seniors are going marginally for Trump over Biden. People had thought that that would be a strong Biden vote. Seniors worried about health care, worried about COVID. But so far, it's 51-48, something like that.
So seniors did not abandon Trump over the coronavirus, but we'll see what happens in the suburbs, as you say. And let's look at some of the results we do have in Florida. It's counting votes fast. It's too close to call there.
I want to put up Florida again because we've changed our characterization there, or have we? Okay, Trump now officially leading in Florida. 29 electoral votes are watching there.
I want to go to Kristen Welker, who's at Biden headquarters. Hey, Kristen, what's the talk there as Florida starts to slip out of their hands?
Well, they are acknowledging that, Savannah, and I'm told by officials that they're in a wait-and-see mode.
Donald Trump leading in Florida right now. A lot of focus there has been and is now on Latino voters, and Andrea Mitchell has some insight on that.
Well, the Latino vote had been shifting in 2012, 2016, going away from the Republicans, where those folks had long been, towards Democrats. It has shifted back by 10 points. Donald Trump is getting in the exit polls 45% of the Latino vote in Florida. We're talking now about Florida. We're talking about Cuban Americans, Venezuelan Americans. And that really is the foreign policy of this administration. The president has been really disciplined in his message on Joe Biden being a socialist, a false claim. But that really has borne fruit.
Of course, Hallie Jackson's over at the White House. What have you been hearing from your sources inside the Trump campaign?
There is a lot of, again, we have not called Florida yet here at NBC News, but there is some, I would say, preemptive dunking from members of the Trump campaign about that state. There is really a sense that I'm starting to pick up from talking to folks tonight that this is a little bit how it went in the early hours of election night 4 years ago, if you remember, feeling like the polls were wrong, feeling like they were the underdog campaign that was able to come from behind and win 4 years ago.
This night has not been short on excitement. We still have a lot of votes to count. Let's show you where we are. 11:30 East Coast time, 8:30 in the Pacific West. Florida is too close to call at this hour, but the president does have a lead.
Let me turn to Casey. Casey, what are your thoughts right here?
The reality is this is a more disappointing night for Democrats than they were hoping it would be from a big picture perspective.
Exit polling gives Donald Trump higher marks than 4 years ago on favorability, considerably. According to the exit polls, that people view him, 45% said their opinion of Trump was favorable, 53% said unfavorable. That is a dramatic change, according to the exit poll, when it was 38% favorable to 60% unfavorable. So that's significant.
All right.
Florida. This is one we have been watching since early in the evening. An important lead, Trump lead. Right now in Florida, but we are still calling that one too close to call.
The economy back on track, but in order to do it, we have to address the virus.
Krista, we gotta cut you off because we've got a big call to make. It's official now. NBC projects Florida goes to President Donald Trump. We've been watching this all night. We've been very careful, but this is going to go into the Trump column, an absolute must-win for him.
Look at the difference: 380,000 votes. Let me go back here and take you back very quickly to Miami-Dade, just to remind you where there was 300,000 votes. You want to know where 200 of the 300,000 votes is? It's sitting in Miami-Dade County. You know, he can feel good. He added, Osceola County, but this Miami-Dade story is, you know, it may be a unicorn and maybe all those things, but as we've seen it with some Hispanic men as well in other states.
It's really
this Latino thing is an issue here for the Democrats. Look, it's interesting, and you wonder if Joe Biden doesn't improve with older white voters, that's kept him in this race. We'd be talking about, boy, Democrats really have to get their base out. And this was something that people were whispering about quite a bit, and this was the downside of doing a virtual campaign.
Well, I have to tell you, Casey, this is not something that was unremarked upon down in South Florida. There were folks who were Biden supporters sounding the alarm about this very issue. Interesting to see in Florida, Biden actually did win some of the swing districts. Pinellas County, for example, one of the swingiest counties in Florida. He prevailed there, but it's Miami-Dade that ultimately sunk his chances in Florida.
The issue with Latinos that's playing out, particularly in Florida, it's particularly acute there for all the reasons that we have talked about. And it was clearly something where they neglected to really pay attention and engage. And my sources are saying they would have had to do this potentially years ago. This is something that the Trump campaign has been working on for a long time.